Now let's look at this equation. It looks a little bit more complicated, but it applies the same concepts. So here we have the absolute value of 3x minus 2 plus 8 is equal to 1. Now, here's our problem child right here. We have this plus 8. So I'm going to write a note at the top. Before you make two equations, make sure your absolute value is on one side of the equal sign by itself. So before you make two equations, you have to make sure that your absolute value is on one side of the equal sign by itself. What that means is that you need to move everything on one side and leave the absolute value before you make your two equations. So we have to move this 8. We have to move this 8. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And when I do that, I end up with the absolute value of 3x minus 2. This will be 0, is equal to negative 7. Okay? So now I have my absolute value equal to a number. Now let's take a look at this. It says that the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to negative 7, excuse me. What do we know about the absolute value? Let me refresh your memory. We talked about two things with the absolute value. We talked about the absolute value being the distance from 0, and we talked about the absolute value being always positive, because distance is always positive. So if I end up with the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to 7, negative 7, what do we know about this number here? Okay. This is a negative number. Absolute value is always positive. Therefore, this problem has no solution. Why does this problem have no solution? Because it is equal to a negative, and the absolute value is always positive. So it is not possible for the absolute value of 3x minus 2 to be equal to negative 7, because absolute value can never be negative. You can find the absolute value of a negative number, but the absolute value of a number cannot equal a negative. The absolute value of a number cannot equal a negative. All right, on to the next one.